For modern society, electricity has become as vital to us as oxygen. Imagine going a month without having any electricity at all. It would be utter chaos. Many wouldn't even survive. And yet our nation's electric power grid is highly vulnerable. So of course, our leaders are doing everything possible to protect our grid and our country, right? Wrong. Today, we're going to learn more. Stay with us. Welcome to the Moms for America podcast. Each week, special guests tackle the issues facing the moms of America today. Discussions include personal stories and advice on how moms can build a strong foundation of faith, family, and freedom in their homes and country. Welcome, moms. I'm so glad that you're here again this week. I'm Debbie Corlitis, your host. I just love it that you come by every week for us to have a great podcast, a discussion with incredible guests today. Another, interesting discussion, the power grid. Whew. This is going to be power-packed. Right here at the top of the show, I do want to invite all of you to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. Please go ahead and do that. This is how we get our information out. I've told you this 100 times. We keep getting censored. So please share this. This is probably another one that could be censored quite easily. Also here at the top of the show, if you're not a member of Moms for America, and I say member just kind of friendly because there's no membership fees here at Moms for America. We're just join the sisterhood here. You go to our website, you can sign up for our newsletter, fill out a survey, whatever you need, whatever information that you would like. You become a part of our moms. We are moms all across the country, uniting together to fight for faith, family, freedom, and the Constitution. So if that's a yes and amen to you, please join us. Join the sisterhood. We are a great family. Love to have you. You go to momsforamerica.us. I can't forget that. That's the website, momsforamerica.us. If you sign up for the newsletter, then you kind of will get our communication throughout the months and the week. We send out a couple emails per month to let you know what's happening. So join us at momsforamerica.us. Also, if you have a topic or a suggestion or you want to communicate with me, I'd love to hear from you at podcast@momsforamerica.net. Well, on to today's program. David Tice is the producer and the director of the award-winning documentary, Grid Down, Power Up. It reveals the deep vulnerability of our nation's electric power grid. Now, before we meet David, I want to go ahead and show you the trailer for this eye-opening documentary. Get ready. This is pretty intense.
The electricity grid goes down. You're back in the 1880s, pre-electricity.
If 1,000 transformers are knocked out, we'll end up with massive social disruption.
Top former energy official claims an attack on an American power grid was terrorism.
Virtually every study you'll see has an anarchistic component that leads to rioting. It is almost inevitable.
Imagine what will happen if there is no food, no power, and no money, and no transportation. Only people with guns and the boldness to go and take what they need to survive will live.
It could literally end civilization as we know it.
Cyber attack, an EMP, even a massive solar flare. They're all capable of exposing our power grid as America's Achilles heel.
Of particular concern to me are people who believe it's God's will to destroy us.
Our electric power grids are as vulnerable to cyber attack as the thousands upon thousands of businesses, companies, government agencies that have already been hacked over the last few months. It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when.
We spend $800 billion on our military.
And we're not willing to spend 50 to 100 billion to protect our society?
An EMP pulse is a very dangerous threat. If you're not nuclear hardened, it will shut down any digital computer that is operating in the range of the EMP.
Other countries have appointed a single champion to be in charge of protecting their electric grids.
We know what needs to be done. It's just a matter of a will to do it.
What an incredible trailer. I mean, when you watch this, you really have to wake up because obviously this is a reality that can be happening. We have the man of the hour here who's going to really talk about this to great detail. We want to welcome you, David, to the Moms for America podcast. Thanks for joining us.
So glad to be with you, Debbie, and all your great viewers.
Yeah. Well, the moms are really concerned about the future. They're concerned about the world that our kids are growing up in. I know you're a dad, you're a grandpa. I'm guessing this is probably why you started this adventure on educating people through this movie. I'm guessing that, but what is it true?
It's exactly true. So, Debbie, a couple of years ago, I realized that I was a NASA grandfather. My grandkids were 4, 3, 2, 1. Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem because our critical civilian infrastructure is unprotected, and we have bad guys out there that want to bring us down. And then even if bad guys don't bring us down, we have something, a geomagnetic disturbance or a big solar storm that certainly 100% is going to eventually bring down our power grid unless we better protect it.
Wow, we're going to get into all the details on this. Your background, I mean, is more in the financial sector. I'm just trying to get to know you a little bit, and now you're in producing and directing. How did that happen?
Well, I managed a mutual fund for about 15 years that grew to 1.6 billion. And I've been a bit of a Cassandra warning people about, some market crashes that have happened in the past. But I got involved in movie making about 15 years ago, where I executive produced the movie Soul Surfer that I'm sure a number of moms.
Love that. Yes.
And so, very inspiring, hopeful Christian story. And I'm friends with Bethany Hamilton. But then I'm a dot connector, and I recognized, what a massive vulnerability we have here. And I've recognized the power of film and to be able to get word out. This documentary provided a great venue for that.
Outstanding. Yeah, dot connector is right. So when you run into folks like yourself and they just have this background and they can really kind of explain everything better to us, because a lot of us just I say this about Americans in general, we're just not paying attention. And that's one of the things we do here very well at Moms for America. We just bring all this attention to our moms because we need to know that this could happen, and what would the world look like? And most of all, what can we do to stop this happening? So when you say our nation's power grid is so vulnerable, you mean vulnerable. I mean, you're saying like this is an all-out emergency, correct?
It certainly is an all-out emergency. And you look at the fact about how we've had this open southern border, and you don't have to watch programs like 24 to realize that there are sleeper cells out there. And therefore, there's all these military-age single men that have come across the border. And even though they haven't done anything yet, I believe they have, directions and instructions and locations of bad stuff to pull off on us. And frankly, we need to protect ourselves better, and there's ways we can protect our critical civilian infrastructure, but frankly, we dropped the ball.
Yeah. So your main calling is that our power grids could go out through multiple. Let's talk about how they could go out. What are your major concerns of the power grid? And then let's get down the road on why aren't we protecting them? But how would this happen? Lay this out for us.
So our movie is called Grid Down Power Up, and you can go to the website griddownpowerup.com. So we talk about 4 major threats. The first is a physical attack. The second would be a cyber attack. Third would be an electromagnetic pulse attack, an EMP, or a geomagnetic disturbance, or a GMD, which is essentially a massive solar flare. And those are 4 major attack vectors that we spend all the time in our film discussing.
And how realistic, how easy, when you say vulnerable, any of these could happen. We're just not protecting our grid like we should. And who should be protecting it? And why aren't we?
Well, frankly, there's been a lot of finger pointing saying it's your job. No,
Right.
it's your job.
Right.
Our utilities feel like it's more of a Defense Department job or a Homeland Security job. And we've actually passed some legislation, both from Donald Trump and Barack Obama was worried about solar weather. However, the ball's been dropped inside the agencies for Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security. Our regulators have not done the right thing. And that's why we need this massive movement. And that's why I'm so proud to be associated with Moms for America, because I've said for the last 2 years, we need ticked off mama bears,
Yeah, that's right.
soccer dads, because you ladies, and I recently attended your annual conference. I mean, what an amazing group you guys have, and what you can accomplish. So if we get enough ticked off mama bears, we can tell our regulators, our legislators, and our members board of directors of our utilities that we're ticked off and we're not going to take this anymore.
And I'm shocked. I know that you referred to President Obama and President Trump with legislation and trying to get some of this under control. And that it was a good idea, but nobody followed up or nobody has the power to, because you would think that this would really be a top-down issue. Well, it should be top and bottom. But, the president says we need to protect our grid. We need to protect our grid. But I guess it's shocking to me because other countries protect their grid, right?
Yes, certainly Great Britain, Israel, we know China and Russia have better protected their grid. It's essentially been bureaucratic ineptitude. And what we believe that we need is a Manhattan Project scale initiative. A lot of people saw the movie Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer was a massive project, in terms of science and engineering. Here, the scale is not that massive, but what we have to do is we have to break down this bureaucratic ineptitude. And frankly, we need a executive agent in charge. There was an EMP commission that found that's what we need. And I call that almost a grid czar, to be able to tell these agencies and tell these regulators what has to be done.
A grid czar, I like that. It doesn't seem like this should be hard to figure out or hard to do, but of course we know with big government, everything's hard to do, right? You can't get, like you're saying, the bureaucracies are just incredible. Let's talk about the fact, and I know we're going to let our moms know exactly what they can do. We're going to tell them about the movie. We've got a call to action here, but I'm wondering if moms know exactly how many times maybe the grids have there's been attack on our grids. How common is this? I see something here, 700 documented attacks between 2010 and 2020. How were these attacks stopped? How were they controlled? Were they controlled? I mean, we saw some things happen in Texas with their power. We've seen things happen, and I just don't know if we're up to speed on the attacks or what is actually happening or who's even defending it.
So through 2023, there's actually been more than 1,000 attacks.
Oh.
Now, a lot of these are mostly physical attacks. And we talk in a movie about Metcalf, California, which is outside Silicon Valley back in 2013. And that was actually covered by 60 Minutes. And there were 7 or 8 guys that came in and utilizing AR-15s and were knocking out, the cooling mechanism for transformers.
Those power stations, right? Okay.
And fortunately, power was diverted. It did not cause a big, power outage in Silicon Valley. However, we ended up, it came out, FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Corporation, commission found that as few as 9 critical substations, if they were taken out and key critical nodes, it could cause power to go out nationwide. And therefore, not that many substations taken out could create this massive coast-to-coast breakdown.
So attack on 9 substations that was strategic would completely cripple and destroy our whole energy power for our country.
Exactly.
Wow. Sobering thought, because
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like that would be that hard to do, which again is to your point into the movie. How would that even look like? How would you restore power? Where would you go? I'm kind of just, walking through this because I think this is what everybody's wondering. If it happened, what would happen? How would we ever restore power? What would our world look like? I mean, you watch these movies and it's the end of the world kind of thing, and you're wondering, boy, that would surely seem like pretty much like the end of the world with no power. Everything relies on power, right?
Exactly. I mean, we are so complacent in this country because we're so used to shutting our refrigerator door and knowing that our food's going to stay cold.
Right.
We're so used to turning on our tap water and having pure water come out, but
Mhm.
our municipal water systems are generally 100% dependent upon the power grid. In terms of other attacks, cyber attacks are a big vulnerability. And we've had Jennifer Granholm, who's the current Secretary of Energy under Joe Biden right now, was asked on a Sunday morning talk show if our adversaries are in the grid and could they potentially shut down the grid? And she responded affirmatively. We've had Senator Angus King saying this is a national emergency in terms of the vulnerability from cyber attack. Then we have something EMP. EMP is an electromagnetic pulse that would knock out sensitive electronics and would knock out our transformers. And some of these transformers is 2,200 of these massive high voltage transformers that weigh hundreds of tons each. And only a small number of those are made in the United States. And if those are knocked out and we have to order them abroad, we're talking about
Oh
a
boy.
massive delay. And therefore, we could have power outage that would last for a couple of years, if not longer. And then the EMP Commission that was operated at the behest of Congress found that as many as between 75% and 90% of Americans would die.
How sobering. How sobering. Wow. And when you talk about these transformers, was that what you said?
Right.
I don't live in this world. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But when you're saying that you have to order these parts from out of the country, and is that a Chinese made product? Is it something that we have to go to, somewhere else? Because we've seen what that's done on other issues.
So we have small, transformer manufacturing capability in this country, but we do buy some transformers from China that we think is a huge mistake. We
Yeah.
also buy a number of them from South Korea and Germany. We've shipped a lot of spare transformers to the Ukraine recently, and therefore we do not have nearly the backup capacity for transformers that we should have. We need enhanced transformer manufacturing capability in this country. We need spare transformers. It's almost like a strategic oil reserve. We should probably have a strategic transformer reserve. All these things should be thought through, but in terms of you walk around your neighborhood and you see substations. So there's 55,000 substations.
Okay, what's a substation?
So a substation is essentially part of the distribution system, and they're behind chain link fences. And so
Okay.
you see, all this equipment, and what you see there are major transformers, and that is what causes the current to be essentially stepped down in terms of current, so that the current will be lower voltage so that it can be delivered to your household. And then so we essentially have step up transformers and step down transformers. But those transformers are really a key vulnerability. And I mentioned Chinese transformers. We now know that we have 430 transformers made in China. in this country. And we think we are very vulnerable from those because we know we're at war with China. China's premier has declared a people's war against the United States of America back in 2019.
Right.
Unfortunately, they cannot stand America. They cannot stand American hegemony.
In this documentary, you say that the U.S. is already under attack. I think you're talking about some of those examples right now. What else would you share that how we're basically compromised probably isn't the right term. I don't know. What is the right term when you say under attack?
No, I would say compromised. And
Okay.
certainly, I have some suspicion that even what happened in Baltimore in terms of, that bridge going down, if that
Wasn't
not,
that crazy? I mean, they kept playing that over and over again. And so many people thought that just did not make any sense.
And so I don't know if your moms have seen the movie Leave the World Behind, recent Julia Roberts movie. And so Barack Obama and Michelle Obama executive produced that. They paid Julia Roberts $25 million. But that movie talked about cyber attacks that were essentially compromising navigation systems. And so airplanes were crashing, oil tankers were crashing onshore. We ended up seeing more than 200 Teslas, crashed at a particular spot on Long Island. Very, very crazy. But navigation systems can be compromised through cyber attack of microprocessors. And so I don't know about you, but it seems like that Baltimore situation of that, ship, crashing into that key pier, it certainly smelled like something like that.
Something seems suspicious. Yeah. I don't think that most people were really buying it. But again, how do you find out the truth? We can't seem to ever find out the truth. Let's go back to the movie, though, that you just talked about. One of the things a lot of people will say is they do this and they don't hide an agenda, or they do it right in plain sight. I mean, that movie was a total tee up to your movie, meaning, but you've got the answer. You've got the calling card of truth and hope and how do we, stop this? Theirs was just basically an expose of what could happen. Do you think that that's interesting that movie was released now?
No, it's extremely interesting that, sometimes, and there was a part in the movie where, the lead actor was talking to, I think, his daughter, and it could have been to Julia Roberts. And they were saying that, sometimes people in charge, aren't necessarily causing this, but they know something is going to happen. And therefore, but there's definitely an alert out there. But if you connect the dots about what Jennifer Granholm has said, and you connect the dots about, various trial runs like Metcalf, California, and, various things. And you look at the fact that we have translated, war plans, from Iran and China and Russia, from defectors, et cetera. And they have pointed out, this is not rocket science, that critical civilian infrastructure can be taken out and creating chaos on the civilian front. And we are simply so complacent in America because we're used to our wars being fought abroad. World War I, World War II, Korean War, Afghanistan, et cetera. But next time, the bad guys could choose to compromise our critical civilian infrastructure in order to create chaos here and in order to blackmail us so that we do not, interfere, say a Taiwan China situation or a Russia against Ukraine situation, et cetera.
Wow. It is scary stuff. It is really scary. But, we all have to live in this real world and we all have to be prepared. What can we do? Let's talk about the movie a little bit more specifically now. What was your approach to the movie? What was your goal? I mean, I know it's educating and it's exposing. But what did you want us to walk away with when we watch this? And again, we will put the link up here, and I want you to mention the link right now, because watching this movie, we saw the trailer to it, but watching this movie is where really your journey begins. It's great to talk with you, David, but you have done such an incredible job making it all become real for us.
Well, thank you. So, really, I'm converting this movie into a movement. And so I'm just so proud again to be partnering with Moms for America. You ladies are incredible patriots. And the thing is, you ladies get things done. And so, this movie, I wanted to bring the viewer through a range of emotions. And first, there's going to be surprise, and then there's going to be fear, and then there's going to be despair, and then there's going to be outrage, and then there's going to be potentially more despair. But then I want to create hope, and then I want to create patriotism, and then I want to create mobilization, and I want to create mothers standing side by side and in their carpool lines and talking to their husband over the breakfast room table and saying that we can fix this. And America's had their backs up against their wall before, but we can overcome this. And there are ways that we can fix this. There is technology available that could be put on the front end of substations. But frankly, we need ticked off mama bears.
Yes.
And why? And I've been saying that for a long time. So I say we need a movement like a Tea Party movement or a MAD movement, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. You know, that's a perfect metaphor of what we need. And we have a facility on our website at griddownpowerup.com in the top right corner under the outreach, under that category, where you can write letters, emails, and sign petitions to your state and federal legislators, your regulators, your members of board of directors, for your public utilities. And then the next thing your moms can do is to say, if you like the movie and you like this cause and you're fearful and you want to join this patriotic movement, I utilize this adage, grid warriors. So become a grid warrior and then tell 20, 50 of your friends, and then have them tell 20 to 50 of their friends. And therefore, we can make this happen.
Wow. Beautiful, because these are action items that moms can do right in their home. Mamas, you're listening, right? You do this right in the home. You could be homeschooling your child. You can go ahead and write those letters. You can go ahead. You've made it very easy for us. We appreciate that. And then also, like, I'm just thinking right now, I'm going to share this movie in the link on my Facebook page. I'm going to share it on my social media. You know, we have a powerful movement. Moms love connecting and sharing and informing. And we talk a lot. You know, the girls talk a lot. And so if we can get this talking within our groups and within our friends, everybody would be concerned about this. And like you've just said so many times, this doesn't seem far out. We see the movies. We've seen this played out on our television screens. But the problem is it's not a movie. It could be a reality.
It could certainly be a reality. And in terms of where we are today, in terms of FBI Director Christopher Wray, argued from the China Committee on, I think it was January 31st, and then recent speech that he gave at Vanderbilt. It was talking about how there's more than 50, cyber professionals, that are essentially pursuing attack. 50 for every one we have in America. And we listen to what Xi has said, and we listen to what Putin has said, and we listen to what Iran, has said, in terms of death to America. And therefore, we are at extreme risk, and therefore, we just need to mobilize. And there is equipment out there right now that could be put on the front end of substations that will be able to cloak signals getting to microprocessors and handling this, creating microprocessor issues with sensors in our municipal water systems, as an example. There's technology that can be provided on the front end, protecting against E3, which is essentially a gamma wave that comes in from EMP or GMD. There's technology that's available for less than $10 billion that could be put on our major substations and protect against EMP and GMD. It's just a travesty that we are not doing this, and we need to act now, and we need to be, urgent about this.
Did you say 10 billion?
Yes, 10 billion.
And then you look at our, the bills that are being passed and money going to other countries or not helping, we do need, and so appreciate this about President Trump so much. It really is America first. We want to help everyone as much as we can, but we have to be protecting our country and our citizens, our border, our grid, our whole supply for Americans. And I guess that's what's the shocking piece of this is that we're not thinking about America's safety by not having safe grids.
No, we're not. And there's too much finger pointing, and it's bureaucratic ineptitude. And so we also have a petition, urge your moms to utilize the phone facility that's available on our website, because if you make calls to your senators and to your regulators, that's going to have even more impact. And you'll be able, if you have Skype or FaceTime set up on your laptop, you can get directly to a phone message and fill up their voicemail with phone calls and messages about how we have to fix this.
So go ahead, give that website again where they can get all that information and also watch the movie. And this is a free movie, right? You're not charging anything. This is I guess, just a gift of education, because a lot of times people don't give this away for free. So thank you for making this investment. It's huge.
Well, thank you. I mean, it just means a lot to the country. So griddownpowerup.com. The movie's available free on YouTube. We have a link to go directly to it from YouTube, or you can just search for Grid Down Power Up. We also have a 7-minute version of the movie. Dennis Quaid narrates it. We have big time music. The film's been, reviewed and has won 15 different awards. So it moves quickly. We end with a very, very positive message. And again, just share it with your friends. And we need enraged mama bears. And so I'm in exactly the right spot talking to you, Debbie.
Yes.
You're patriotic and, energized moms.
All right. Well, you heard it, mamas. We've got to really take this serious and get involved. Watch the movie, participate in the action items, and let's pressure our leaders to protect the grid and essentially protect our kids in America. Thank you, David, for joining us. God bless you. And I'll look forward to hearing more in the future, because I don't think you're done yet.
No, I've got a lot to do, but we need enraged mama bears to stand with me and make this becoming grid warriors. So it's under the participate tab on the top quarter of the website. That's where you can write the letters, make the phone calls.
Participate. All right. Well, we're going to do that. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your good works. Thank you for the movie. And Mama Bears, you heard it. We need to get in this fight and help protect our country and protect our grid. Wow. Thanks for joining us, David.
Thank you, Debbie.
Wow, David. Thank you again for that incredible interview. Thank you for sharing this movie and investing in it for our moms. Again, we've got to get into the fight. We've got to go ahead, watch the movie. Please tell your moms about this. Share this with anyone that you know, because everyone needs to know. And also go ahead and go to their page, which was, make sure I get that correct, griddownpowerup.com, and take action. He said to go to that participation tab, and you can get all the information on how you can impact legislation, our leaders, and share with them the concern that you have for you, your family, and our country. Again, Grid Down, Power Up, watch that movie and share it. All right, moms, we know that moms are concerned about every issue because truly every issue is a mom issue, whether it's dealing with the electricity and the grid, whether it's cultural issues, whether it's education, whether it's patriotism, whether it's homeschooling. They're all our issues and they all matter. And that's why we are here. Moms for America is here to help you on this journey through motherhood. So I want to remind you to go ahead and check us out at momsforamerica.us. We have seminars, webinars, we have booklets, brochures, we have the cottage meetings, we have information on just about every subject that you can imagine that pertains to you and your home and your children and your country. So please check us out there. We say this every week, moms. We believe that liberty begins at home and that you moms are truly the heartbeat of America and truly the heartbeat of your home. That's why this movement, Moms for America, is so powerful, because it is the moms that are going to go ahead and save this country, because we will do anything and everything to protect our kids so they have a future and a place to hope and dream. Alrighty, I want to invite you to join us next week for another informative discussion for moms just like you. And remember, moms, please share, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Tell your moms about the Moms for America podcast. We're here every week to provide information. And as always, let's keep changing our world one home at a time. Thanks for joining us.